Joyce! Hellfire! Person will never talk to you for weeks. I love him, I don't care. Holy Ghost fire! Femi, I've been trying to reach you. I've been calling you for days. Are you okay?
Babe, I'm so busy. Work has been really stressful. I haven't had time for anything.
Femi, how do I look? I love this dress.
Take off that dress and wear the white one. You're looking too fat in it. Seriously, you need to lose some weight.
He is the love of my life. I cannot do without him. That guy is a walking red flag. Leave him alone. Yes, Joyce. You see? He loves me. Look at all these gifts. Gifts? Person when he call you for weeks? I love him. Holy Ghost fire. What is wrong with you?
The following afternoon, Nonye made sure everything at the workshop was in order before leaving. She gave instructions to her employees, settled the day's most important tasks, and let them know she had somewhere important to be. On her way, she stopped at a nearby supermarket, not because Femi had asked her to, but because she knew how demanding his job could be. She picked up fresh vegetables, rice, chicken, a few snacks, and his favorite fruit juice. In her mind, it was a simple act of love. If he had been working so hard,
She really believes I'm working.
He had time to answer his phone. The least she could do was make sure he came home to a good meal. When she arrived at his apartment, she rang the doorbell. A few moments later, the door opened. There stood Femi.
I'm so relieved.
Please come on in.
The moment he saw her, a smile spread across his face. Without thinking, Nonye wrapped her arms around him. The fear she had carried for days finally melted away. She was simply relieved that he was standing right in front of her. Whatever questions she had prepared to ask, whatever confusion she had been carrying, none of it seemed important anymore. She had missed him, and seeing him was enough. As she stepped inside for the very first time, she looked around his apartment. It was neat, comfortable, and simple. But one thing immediately caught her attention. The kitchen was almost empty. There was hardly any groceries. It didn't take long for her to realize that he barely cooked at home. Without making a fuss about it, she carried the shopping bags into the kitchen and got to work. Before long, vegetables were being washed, rice was cooking, chicken was on the stove. The groceries had been arranged neatly inside the cupboard and refrigerator. The apartment slowly began to feel warmer, like a home. Femi watched quietly from the kitchen doorway. He looked genuinely touched by everything she had done. To Nonye, it wasn't a sacrifice, it was love. She enjoyed taking care of the people she cared about. And in her heart, she believed that was what healthy relationship looked like. From that day on, visiting Femi's apartment slowly became part of her routine. Some evenings she spent at work. Other evenings she spent at Femi's house before heading back home. If the apartment needed cleaning, she cleaned it. If there were dirty clothes, she washed them. If the refrigerator was empty, she bought groceries and stocked it. Whenever she spent her own money, Femi always reimbursed her. He never wanted her to carry the financial responsibility, he always said. So Nonye never thought twice about helping. To her, they were simply building a life together. Weeks passed. Without realizing it, the little things she did out of love slowly became expected. One night, after work, Nonye stayed behind at the workshop, chatting with Joyce. The two friends hadn't spent much time together lately, so they enjoyed catching up over soft drinks. Time slipped away until Nonye suddenly glanced at the clock. She immediately stood up. She needed to leave. Joyce looked surprised. They had barely spent an hour together. When she asked, "Why the rush?" Nonye casually explained that she wanted to get to Femi's apartment before he returned from work so she could tidy up the place. The words came out so naturally that she didn't even notice them. Joyce paused for a moment before asking, "Why are you making this sound like it's your responsibility?" Nonye laughed it off. She explained that Femi worked long hours and she simply liked making life easier for him. Joyce listened quietly. Then she gently asked a question that stayed with Nonye long after the conversation ended. "Who was making life easier for you, Nonye?" Nonye answered without hesitation. "Femi, of course. Femi is always there for me. So I'm just reciprocating." And that was enough. Joyce smiled, but something about the conversation didn't sit right with her. As the week went by, tiny changes began to appear. So small that Nonye barely noticed them. In the beginning, Femi would always ask whether she was sure she wasn't too tired before coming over. Later, he stopped asking. Instead, he would say, "When are you coming? Come today, come quick. Don't forget to come early." Or he will talk about how exhausting his day had been. He never directly asked her to cook. He never told her to clean. He didn't need to. By then, Nonye was already doing those things automatically. Then one evening, after a difficult day with a client, she arrived much later than usual. Dinner wasn't ready. The apartment hadn't been cleaned. Femi glanced at the empty dining table before making a sarcastic comment. He laughed immediately afterwards, insisting he was only joking. Nonye laughed too, but later that night, lying awake in bed, she couldn't stop thinking about those words. For the first time, she felt guilty. Guilty for not arriving late, guilty for not cooking, even though he had never actually asked her to. She convinced herself she was overthinking, that it had only been a harmless joke. She had no idea that this was how it would begin. Not with shouting, not with anger, not with obvious control, but with tiny expectations that quietly became responsibilities. Responsibilities that slowly became obligations. Without realizing it, the woman who had once built her life around her own dreams was beginning to organize her days around someone else's needs. She didn't see it, but Joyce did. And with each passing week, Joyce became more worried. The changes were almost impossible to notice. Nothing dramatic happened overnight. There were no shouting matches, no broken furniture, no obvious sign that anything was wrong. In fact, if anyone had met Nonye and Femi during that period, they would probably have described them as the perfect couple. They still went on dates, they still laughed together. Femi still surprised her with thoughtful gifts from time to time. He still knew exactly how to make her smile, and that was what made the warning signs so difficult to recognize. They didn't appear all at once. They arrived quietly, one small piece at a time. One evening, while they were getting ready to attend a friend's birthday dinner, Nonye came out wearing a fitted green dress she had sewn for herself. The moment Femi saw her, he complimented her appearance. Then almost immediately, he followed the compliment with a joke. That evening, Nonye found herself eating far less than she normally would. Not because she wasn't hungry, but because those few words had stayed with her. A few days later, while they were walking through a shopping mall, Femi joked about the way she walked. He exaggerated her steps, laughed, and insisted he was only teasing her. Nonye laughed along with him. But that night, she caught herself walking back and forth in front of a mirror, studying her posture. As time went on, the comments became more frequent. He would compliment her hair, then point out that it looked better before. He would tell her she looked beautiful, then suggest another outfit made her look slimmer. He always started with something kind and ended with something that quietly chipped away at her confidence. Whenever she looked hot, Femi laughed it off. According to him, she simply needed to learn how to take jokes. So instead of telling him his comments bothered her, Nonye started laughing along. Around that same time, another pattern slowly returned, the disappearing. At first, it lasted only a day. Then it happened again. Sometimes he would go an entire day without answering her calls. Other times it stretched into several days. Whenever he finally came back, he behaved as though nothing unusual had happened. No explanation, no apology, just another normal conversation. The first few times, Nonye gently tried to explain that she had been worried. Each time, Femi calmly reminded her that his job was demanding and that she worried too much. Before long, she stopped bringing it up. Instead, she apologized for asking. Weeks later, it happened again. This time, an entire week passed without hearing from him. Although she now had a key to his apartment, she still couldn't reach him. Thinking he might simply be overwhelmed with work, Nonye went over to his place after closing the workshop. The apartment was empty. She searched every room. There was no sign of him. Rather than leaving him, she rolled over her sleeves and began cleaning. She washed the dishes, swept the floors, did the laundry, cooked his favorite meal, packed everything neatly, and waited for him to come home.
Have you ever loved someone so much that you kept making excuses for things you knew were hurting you? Deep down, you could see the waving red flags. You knew the relationship wasn't healthy. You knew they were messing up over and over again. But because you loved them, you stayed. You kept hoping they would change. You kept believing the good moments were the real version of them. If you have ever been in this situation, I want you to know you are not alone. Let's talk about it in the comments. Have you ever been a fool for love at some point in your life? What made it so hard to walk away? And if you can relate in any way, please let's discuss in the comments. Like this video, subscribe to this channel, and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next part of Nonye's story. Trust me, it gets better at the end.
Eventually, she returned home. The following morning, while scrolling through social media, she came across one of his status. There he was, laughing, smiling, spending time with friends. In one of his videos, a young woman stood beside him as they laughed together. Nonye watched the clip more than once. Nonye became so sad and withdrew. Joyce noticed that something was bothering her. When Nonye showed her the video, Joyce quietly watched it before asking a simple question. Had Femi called? Nonye admitted that he hadn't. She gently reminded her that disappearing for days without a word wasn't normal, especially when someone clearly had enough time to update their social media status and stories. But once again, Nonye defended him. She reminded Joyce how demanding his work could be. She insisted there had to be a reasonable explanation. Joyce listened patiently before asking one question. The question that Nonye had asked herself before but brushed off in the past. If he has this much time to post on social media, why couldn't he not reach out to her? For the first time, Nonye didn't have an answer. Deep inside, the whispers had become louder. Something wasn't right. But every time that voice spoke, the memories of the beginning spoke even louder. The flowers, the surprise lunches, the thoughtful gifts, the vacations, the way he had loved her in the beginning. Surely someone who had done all of those things couldn't suddenly become a different person. So instead of asking herself why Femi was treating her this way, Nonye slowly began asking a different question. What was she doing wrong? From that moment on, something quietly began to change inside Nonye. Not because Femi had suddenly become a different person, but because she had. Without even realizing it, she had slowly started measuring her self-worth by the attention he gave her. On the days he called, she felt loved. On the days he disappeared, she became anxious. Whenever he complimented her, she felt beautiful. Whenever he criticized her, she immediately wondered what she needed to change. Little by little, she stopped asking herself what made her happy. Instead, her thoughts became consumed with keeping Femi happy. Whenever he went silent for days, she no longer questioned it. She simply convinced herself that he was busy. When Joyce asked how the relationship was going, Nonye always smiled and assured her that everything was fine. And in many ways, she genuinely believed it. Because every single time Femi came back, he returned as the same man she had fallen in love with. Attentive, funny, affectionate. He would wrap her in a warm hug, offer just enough of an explanation to calm her fears, then showered her with so much attention that it almost felt as though the days of silence had never happened. For a little while, everything would feel perfect again until the next disappearance. The cycle repeated itself so many times that Nonye gradually stopped expecting consistency. Instead, she began celebrating the smallest things: a phone call, a compliment, a weekend spent together. The bare minimum slowly began to feel like a reward.
Watch out for part 3, where Nonye finally found herself. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Thank you.